You know, if you're sitting around a campfire in the middle of a pitch black forest
Yeah.
and the fire is finally dying down, your eyes just naturally fixate on those final glowing
Oh,
embers.
absolutely.
You watch them pop, you watch them fade, like one by one, and there's this profound tension that builds up in your chest.
Right, because you know the dark has come.
Exactly. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
But you literally cannot look away from those last little fragments of warmth.
It is an almost instinctual compulsion, I think. We're creatures drawn to the light, especially when it becomes scarce.
Yeah.
There's this deeply rooted need to bear witness to it before it's gone, almost as if our attention can, I don't know, keep it alive just a few seconds longer.
That exact feeling, that compulsion to watch the very last light, is exactly where we are taking you today in this deep dive.
Let's have you on today.
It really is. We are stepping into a breathtaking piece of sci-fi and philosophical fiction. It's titled The Orphanage at the End of Time by Max and Claude.
Such an incredible text.
And our mission today isn't just to, summarize a sci-fi story.
Mm.
We really want to figure out how this text uses the literal, physical end of the universe to explore what makes our existence meaningful.
Right.
How we process the grief of things ending, and why asking questions might be the most important thing we ever do.
And it does so by putting us in a setting that is both incredibly cozy and unimaginably bleak.
Okay, let's unpack this because the contrast is wild. Let's set the scene. Imagine looking out a window, but instead of seeing the Milky Way or, a bright blue sky, you see a sky that the authors describe as, and I quote, a bruise that had forgotten how to hurt.
Wow. Yeah, that imagery is just so haunting.
It really is.
It perfectly captures the concept of the heat death of the universe, which is, it isn't a universe ending in a sudden, violent cinematic explosion.
Right, no big bang at the end.
Exactly. It's ending with a quiet, agonizingly slow fade.
Let me stop you there, actually, because the term heat death gets thrown around a lot in sci-fi, but I think it's hard to visualize. What exactly is happening to the physics of this universe to make the sky look like a faded bruise?
Well, it all basically comes down to entropy. Think of the universe as a giant sealed thermos of hot coffee.
Okay, hot coffee, I'm with you.
When you first pour the coffee, all the heat energy is concentrated right there in the liquid, while the air above it inside the thermos is cool.
Makes sense.
But over a long enough timeline, that heat disperses evenly throughout the entire thermos.
So it just leaks into the air.
Right. Eventually, everything inside reaches the exact same lukewarm temperature. Now, in the universe, stars are the hot coffee.
Oh, I see.
They are these concentrated pockets of energy burning furiously, but eventually they just run out of fuel.
Because there's a finite amount, right?
Exactly. And because the universe is constantly expanding, all that residual heat and energy gets stretched out so far and spreads so incredibly thin that no new stars can ever ignite.
Wow.
Everything just reaches a uniform, freezing, absolute zero. The machine just stops.
So the stars quite literally just turning off one by one.
One by one.
And right in the middle of this freezing, fading universe sits the orphanage.
Yes.
It's described as this impossible, warm building with curving corridors that defy geometry. It's almost like the building is hugging itself.
I love that description.
And inside, there are just 11 children. 11. And they're overseen by a vast, ancient, comforting presence known simply as the Matron.
It's a safe haven, for sure, but it's not completely isolated from reality. The children are, well, they're starting to notice the sky outside.
Exactly. Specifically, this one girl named Sable. Sable is a character whose entire personality is built around questioning everything.
She's the natural skeptic.
Right. She's noticing the stars are disappearing, and she's not the only one paying attention. There's another child, Pell.
Ah, Pell, the archivist.
Yes, Pell is an archivist. He organizes everything into rigid taxonomies, and lately, he has been obsessively tracking the sky.
Tracking the dying stars.
Right. He tells Sable that he watched the number of stars drop from 46 to 23, and now they are down to 17. 17 individual stars left in the entire cosmos.
Which brings us right back to your campfire analogy from the start.
Yeah.
If you know the fire is going to die completely, why do these children compulsively keep watching and counting the embers? Doesn't tracking the end just make the anxiety so much worse?
I was thinking the exact same thing. When I read that passage, it immediately reminded me of doom scrolling.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
You know, when there's a massive global crisis happening, and you just sit on your phone, endlessly refreshing the news feed.
Just scrolling and scrolling.
Yeah. You aren't getting any new information that actually helps you, But you keep counting the bad news anyway. It feels like, I don't know, a false sense of control.
That is a perfect real-world parallel. And when Sable finally confronts the matron about these fading lights, the matron confirms a pretty terrifying reality.
That they aren't just normal stars.
Right. These aren't just a random cluster of stars. They are the oldest, slowest burning red dwarfs, the absolute final fires in existence.
So it really is the very end.
It is. And the children's reaction to this, their doom scrolling, essentially reveals something fundamental about the nature of consciousness.
How so?
Well, Pell counts to manage his anxiety. He builds a mathematical structure out of the data to contain his fear, just like we try to organize chaotic news into a narrative we can digest.
Oh, that makes total sense. But Sable is different. She doesn't count to soothe herself. She counts because her core nature is to seek the truth.
Even if that truth is horrifying.
Exactly. Even if the truth is that they're all about to die in the dark.
Right. Her compulsion really forces the issue. She takes Pell's data, marches right up to the matron, and demands the truth about what is actually happening outside.
And that direct confrontation triggers a massive paradigm shift in the text. I mean, we instantly move from this slightly creepy atmospheric tale about trapped children facing the dark to a staggering cosmic revelation.
A revelation about what these children actually are.
The matron reveals that they are not human children at all.
No, they're not.
They are archives. They are the distilled fundamental patterns, the final surviving records of the universe's last 11 distinct civilizations.
Yes. Such a wild concept. The matron scoured the debris of the dying universe to find what she calls bone knowledge of these extinct cultures.
Bone knowledge?
Right. She couldn't save the billions of people, so she saved their deepest instincts, condensing them into these 11 living avatars.
I really want to dig into that term, bone knowledge, because it sounds deeply poetic. But what does it actually mean for these kids on a day-to-day basis? Like, do they have the memories of billions of dead aliens in their heads?
Not explicit memories, no. It's not like that. They don't remember the cities or the names of the people who died.
Okay, good. That would be a lot.
Yeah, way too much. Bone knowledge is more like a genetic instinct or cultural muscle memory. It dictates how they interact with the world around them.
So it shapes their personalities.
Exactly. Let's look at Pell. He represents a civilization of archivists. His compulsion to count the stars isn't just a quirky personality trait.
Right, it's deeper than that.
Much deeper. His civilization literally believed that existence required a witness. Without a conscious mind noting that an object existed, they believed the object's existence was incomplete.
Oh, wow.
So Pell organizes his socks, he counts the floorboards, he categorizes the dying stars because his bone knowledge tells him that if he stops paying attention, the universe disappears.
That makes so much sense. It's not OCD, it's cosmic responsibility.
Precisely.
And then there's Moth, another child, who represents a civilization of extreme precision. Moth only communicates the absolute essential truth.
No fluff.
Zero fluff. No metaphors, no jokes, just stark reality. And Sable represents a civilization that made question asking its central practice.
The questioners.
Right. The text says they ask questions about everything until he eventually asks questions all the way down to the bottom of meaning, reaching a silence of perfect fulfillment. They were a civilization of open doors.
Which perfectly explains why Sable is the one who ultimately cracks the mystery of the orphanage. Her civilization's instinct was to pry open the closed doors of the universe.
Okay, but I have to push back on the matron here.
Oh, let's hear it.
Let's look at this from an ethical standpoint. Isn't her grand plan incredibly cruel? I mean, secretly burdening these new young minds with the profound grief of billions of dead worlds.
It is a massive burden.
If someone handed me a hard drive containing the entire history and tragedy of Earth right as it exploded and told me, hey, you're the last one, don't drop it, that would completely break me.
What's fascinating here is that is the exact ethical dilemma the story grapples with, but look at how the matron handles it. She didn't hand them the hard drive.
What do you mean?
She just gave them the operating system. She didn't give them the explicit trauma of their world's ending. She gave them the shape of their cultures.
The bone knowledge.
Exactly. And crucially, and this is the genius of her plan, I think she waited. She waited until Sable's natural, ingrained curiosity drove her to ask the question.
Ah, because the act of asking changes how your brain receives the answer.
Precisely. If the matron had sat them down on day one and said, hey kids, you are the ghosts of dead empires, They would have been crushed by the burden.
Totally crushed.
They wouldn't have had childhoods. They would have just had tragic orientations. Unearned knowledge creates a burden, but curiosity opens a mind to receive heavy truths.
Right, because you're actively seeking it.
Because Sable actively sought the truth. She had built the psychological framework necessary to carry it.
That drastically changes the dynamic.
Yeah.
She really let them be children until they naturally outgrew their own ignorance.
Yeah, she was very careful.
But learning what these children are naturally leads to the next massive question. Who gathered them?
Right.
If the universe is freezing to death and everyone else is gone, who exactly is the matron? Why does she get to play cosmic curator?
The matron's backstory is, honestly, arguably the most poignant part of the book. She is not a god.
She's just biological.
Yes. She is an ancient biological being whose species foresaw this heat death long, long before it happened. And when they saw the end coming, they chose to intentionally end themselves on their own terms.
They just opted out.
They did. They found it dignified to choose their ending rather than slowly freezing over billions of years.
But she didn't go with them. Her entire civilization bowed out, and she refused.
She stayed behind. She realized her unique purpose was to be the shore.
The shore.
Yeah, the text features this beautiful interaction she has with a vast ocean-based consciousness early in her life. This ocean entity tells you that she is the shore, the interface where the thinking ends and the not thinking begins.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Every ocean needs a shore to know where its edge is. So she chose to stay behind to tend to what remained. She found a seed of future making in the debris of a dead world, and from that technology, she grew the orphanage.
And she grew it warm. The building itself emanates love and care because it's physically constructed from her intention to protect.
It's made of her care, literally.
But out of all the ruins of billions of galaxies, she gathered exactly 11 records. Not 10, not 12. 11 children. And to understand why, we need to talk about another child in the orphanage.
Ah, 3!
Yes, 3. 3 operates purely through mathematical consciousness. And 3 discovers something incredible about the number 11.
The math gets really interesting here.
The text says 11 is the exact minimum number where the relationships between entities mathematically exceed the number of entities themselves.
Let's break that math down because it sounds a bit like abstract magic if you just hear it in passing.
Right, it sounds a little mystical.
It's actually a basic principle of combinatorics. If you have a group of people and you want to draw a line connecting every single person to every other person directly, you use a specific formula.
Okay.
If you have 2 people, there's 1 line of connection. If you have 3 people, there are 3 lines. 4 people, 6 lines. The connections grow faster than the group size.
Right, the formula is n times n minus 1 divided by 2.
Exactly. So when you hit 11 entities, each of those 11 connects to 10 others. 11 times 10 is 110. Divide that by 2 and you get 55.
55.
55 unique one-to-one relationships. 55 is vastly larger than 11. So at 11, the space created by their connections definitively overwhelms the physical number of people.
That is wild.
It is a mathematical proof of community. The sum genuinely and demonstrably becomes greater than its parts.
That is staggering. And 3 doesn't just stop at the math. 3 maps out the histories of these 11 civilizations based on their bone knowledge and realizes they were never truly isolated.
They weren't strangers.
No. Millions of years ago, they had ancient attenuated connections across space and time. One civilization's radio signals washed over another's planet. One civilization dreamed of the other.
They had been subtly influencing each other for eons. They were part of a massive, unseen web.
So what does this all mean? You know what this reminds me of? It feels like a dying brain firing its synapses one last time.
Oh, I like that.
By gathering these specific 11 entities, the matron essentially connected the scattered, lonely neurons of the universe. She brought them into one room so the universe could finally understand itself and feel whole right before the lights go out permanently.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is a brilliant analogy, and it fundamentally changes how we view the cold, indifferent physics of the heat death we talked about earlier.
Because it's not just a cold ending anymore.
Exactly. The universe itself didn't design this gathering on purpose. Entropy doesn't care about community, but the matron facilitated it.
She made it happen.
And the mathematical truth that 3 discovers proves that the meaning of existence actually lies in those relationships. Regardless of whether anyone survives to remember it, the fact that they were together, attending to each other, generating 55 lines of connection in the dark,
Yeah.
That is a permanent mathematical fact. The having been is indelible.
But knowing they are indelible doesn't stop the physics from happening.
No, it doesn't.
Having solved this massive philosophical mystery of who and what they are, the inhabitants of the orphanage must now face the physical reality they have been tracking. Outside the window, the countdown is finishing.
It's finally here. The sky goes from 17 stars to 12 to 7 down to 2, and then finally there is just one point of light left in the entire cosmos.
And the way the authors describe these final days is so incredibly moving. There's no panic.
None at all.
There's no screaming against the dying of light. Pell, the archivist whose civilization believed everything needed a witness, looks up at the last star, and he gives it a name.
He names it the Matron.
He does.
Oh.
Because she is the oldest fire, the one that stayed behind to watch over them.
It's a beautiful tribute. And when that final star finally burns out, yielding a total, absolute, unconditional physical dark, they don't cry.
They don't.
They look at the empty sky and say, I see you.
I see you. It gives me chills every time I read it.
Because it is the ultimate act of witnessing. By saying, I see you, to the total dark, they are validating the entire history of the universe.
Yeah. They are saying, you were here, you were real, and we did not look away at the end.
After they say that, they peacefully lay down and go to sleep for the final time. But there's one child, Younger. Younger represents a civilization of dreamers.
The dreamers.
And as the dark settles in, he decides to stay awake just a little longer in a receptive, half-sleeping between state. And in that state, he receives a final message.
A literal message in a bottle.
Traveling at the exact speed of light, sent from an ancient, long-dead, light-based civilization. This message has been traveling through the empty universe for billions of years, and it finally reaches the last dreaming mind just as everything shuts down. The message is 2 words: begin again.
Think about the staggering hope of that. A civilization that died eons ago, firing a message of pure faith into the dark, trusting that someone, someday, at the very end of time, would be there to catch it.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Let me play devil's advocate here, because this is where the philosophy really hits a wall for me.
Okay, let's hear it. They receive this beautiful poetic message to begin again, but they still fall asleep.
True.
The universe still ends in absolute zero. Everyone is gone. Doesn't the physical reality of their death render that message useless? Is that hope actually meaningful, or is it just a comforting lie they tell themselves as the lights go out?
This raises an important question, and it is the ultimate question of the book, isn't it? Sable actually asks the matron something very similar earlier in the text.
What does she ask?
She asks, what is the point of a question if there's no one left to hear the answer?
Right.
And the book's argument is that hope without knowledge is still functionally real. The matron calls it the open door.
The open door.
Your civilization might not survive. You have no idea what comes next. But the refusal to close the door on the future is a profound act of defiance against entropy.
Oh, I see.
The story intensely argues that the value of an experience is not negated by the fact that it ends. The universe ending in a state of connection, warmth, and mutual witnessing rather than cold, terrified isolation means the whole project of consciousness was a massive success.
It wasn't a failure just because it stopped.
Exactly. The having been is the largest thing. It's larger than the ending.
The having been is larger than the ending. Wow. That is such a powerful reframing of grief.
Yeah.
And honestly, it brings us right back from the cosmic scale of the end of time, directly back to you, the listener, and your everyday reality.
Because we all deal with our own heat deaths on a much smaller scale.
All the time.
Projects end. Phases of life end. Relationships fade out.
Exactly. And when you feel overwhelmed by the anxiety of everything changing, or you feel like your efforts are pointless because a phase of your life is slipping away, remember Pell's archive. Remember Sable's questions.
Yeah.
The value of your experiences, the books you read, the things you learn, the deep connections you make with the people around you, that value is not contingent on those things lasting forever.
That doesn't have to last forever to matter.
The act of simply paying attention, of saying, I see you, to the world, to your friends, to your environment, is valuable in and of itself.
Yeah.
You are generating those lines of connection. The having been is the entire point.
It's a call to be deeply present, to bear witness to your own life and the lives of those around you, knowing that the attention you give is a form of love that validates their existence. It means that even when the fire goes out, the warmth you felt wasn't a lie.
That is beautifully said. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final mind-bending idea to ponder that builds on everything we've talked about today.
This part is wild.
Throughout this story, We hear about these bizarre, beautiful alien civilizations made of ocean currents, deep rock geology, and magnetic songs. And right before the end, the matron tells the children that the orphanage's existence, their 55 lines of connection, will be invisibly encoded into the final frozen physics of the dead universe. So if the universe's final lingering message was truly begin again, what if the very laws of physics in our universe today, the way our gravity pulls objects together, the way our light travels endlessly through a vacuum, what if our physics are actually just the fossilized bone knowledge of whatever beautiful connected universe came before us?
It is a stunning thought that physics itself, the literal rules of reality, might just be the memory of an ancient love.
It certainly makes you look up at the night sky a little differently, doesn't it? So tonight, or whenever you find yourself sitting around a campfire, watching those last glowing embers slowly pop and fade into the dark, don't pull out your phone to doom scroll. Don't look away.
Just watch them.
Just watch them. And maybe just whisper, "I see you."
Until next time.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Keep your eyes open.